planner season can be completely overwhelming or so exciting and so much fun. Whichever it is for you, I hope you find some good ideas for your 2026 lineup in this video. Before we get too far into it, the things that I'm using, so I am moving into an Archer and Olive purple paged A5 journal, which was part of the 2025 June subscription box. I am also using the washi tapes from that sub box as well, and they are my main decoration for this. I do also have some kraft and some clear stickers that I have made for myself, basically so that I don't have to do loads of hand lettering. I could do this hand lettering, but it's going to look better as a printed out font, and because I have the materials to do that, I might as well. I also have a load of Tombow dual brush markers pulled out. I do also then have some glue and a tape roller. Whilst I have been showing you those materials, I've also showed you that I have glued down the first page of the journal, and this is just because I wanted it to open to a double page spread. And I felt this was the most important thing, was that when I opened the journal, I got to a double page spread that had exactly what I wanted on it. What I did with that was I used the roll of double-sided sticky tape and I put one strip down the outside edge of one sheet and a strip on either side of the short edges of the other page, so that when these stuck together, they overlapped in the corners to make sure that corner was nice and closely stuck right to the edge, because I found that is really important because you never want to be trying to open to that middle page. Now we've got that first page sorted, we are going to start with our 2026 year at a glance. Now, when you look at this, you may notice that it doesn't quite look like a traditional year at a glance. All of my weeks are perfect full weeks, and that is because I am using cyclical planning in 2026. What this means is, rather than using traditional months, which could start and end on any day of the week, I start each month or cycle on a Monday, and each cycle is 4 weeks. So what happens with the extra 4 weeks of a year? Well, because cyclic planning works like that, you could either have 11 cycles, which is not what I'm doing. I am going to be working in quarters, and at the end of each quarter, there is an extra week called a reset week. This helps you keep slightly more aligned with the traditional months of the year, as well as being a chance to take time to reset your life a little bit, get everything ready for the cycle, quarter ahead, and also just to finish any little bits that still need finishing from your first quarter. If you want to hear more about cyclical planning, I will link Jashi Kurun's video about it up in the cards below and the description box, where she goes through this a bit more in detail. As you can see, during this I have been using the washi tape as my main decoration, and then I have done a dark purple swatch at the beginning of every month/cycle. I'm going to use the word month because that's what comes more naturally to me than cycle. Maybe as time goes on I will automatically use cycle, but I'm just going to use month, but I actually mean cycle. Unfortunately, that first purple swatch that I put down was in the wrong place, so the first time I actually touched pen to paper in this journal, I made a mistake. But I decided to just go with it and off-center each line of my calendars each quarter, and that just worked for me and I was quite happy with that. What I don't love most about this spread is that these strips of dark purple are not the perfect width. I'm okay with it. It's also the only place in this setup where I use this darker purple for a title area, but I am happy with how it looked in the end. During this whole setup, you will notice me rip apart washi tape into different size widths to give it that jagged edged look. I wanted this setup, as well as being that sort of florally bee design, I did also want to bring in some of that torn edge. I just prefer how it looks to the neat edge of washi. I do it a lot more with those thicker washi strips than with the 10 and 15mm ones, but I really like how it comes together in the end, and I do use a lot of the decoration mainly at the top and the bottom of the pages. So that is it for that first spread. So we are now on to my second spread, and this is my About Me page. This is essentially a page that I am going to fill in at the beginning of the year as a memory keeping place, basically. So I've got a few different details on there. So my name, my age and date of birth, the amount of years I've been married, where I live, who I live with, my job, my best friends, some things I love, some things I don't like, my hobbies, my traits, things I want and things I'm proud of. And the idea is that I'm going to put a picture in that nice big gap you see on the left of the page there, where you can see that gap in the second line highlight. And essentially how I set up this page was I use second line highlights to make my areas. So those top bits are full length bits, and then I have 6 of 6 different categories at the bottom. And I'm just going to pop in the title, which is just my first name, Talitha. I do generally go by Tilly, but Talitha is my Christian full name, legal name, whatever you want to call it, but I generally do go by Tilly. And that's all this took. Again, I did make some mistakes in the second line highlight. I made that bottom row off at the wrong side, but it works. And that's it for these first 2 pages. Moving on, we are now moving on to my A Year in Pixels. Now, I have set 7 of these up. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to make you watch every single one of them because it would be tedious as hell. You might be looking at this and be like, Tilly, why are you doing like 2 sets on each page? And that's because I'm doing all of these things in weeks. It just makes so much more sense with my brain for my A Year in Pixel rather than to be in months that I'm not using, but to be in weeks. So I have 2 tables on each page that are 7 boxes wide with a week number. And essentially each week of the year has that number with it. And I can use that to mark the block, the week and the day of the week to mark on which, day I'm on. So, for example, week 1, the Monday, will be the 29th of December, and that will go all the way through to week 52. I did make number strips for these. I actually have released these, or I'm going to release these in my shop, Tilly Journals, just to make ease of this sort of thing setting up. I also will have the, haven't actually released these numbers because these are 1 to 26, I'm 27 to 52, but I have released 1 to 31 strips. If you want to see these strips of the 1 to 26 and 27 to 52, let me know in the comments down below. Then, as well as these tables, which, oh my god, it took so long to set up. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I initially was going to freehand these, not use a ruler. I did that and I hated it. So I actually have another 2 stuck down pages together because I hated how the hand-drawn look looked. So I got rid of that. And then this little space I'm creating now on the left is for my key. And I am using 6 different colours for that. 5 shades of purple, going from the darkest being the most negative or the worst to the lightest being the best. And then the absolute best option is a yellow, and that stays through all of my year in pixels. And as I said, I do have 7. So what on earth am I tracking with 7? Look, this first one that you're seeing me pick up now is my mood tracker, which is the most typical year in pixel. But I don't just want to track my mood. There are lots of things that I want to track every single day, and rather than setting up a monthly spread with each of these, I might as well set them all up once a year. My plan is that when this journal is full, I will still keep this journal as one of my everyday journals to essentially check in with my start of journal pages every day. So, as well as the mood tracker, which my moods that I have gone with are can't cope, really bad, struggling, managing, doing well, and loving life. The one that is going to be next to that is going to be rate my day, and that is just going to be rating from 0 to 5 stars, because although my mood these will be related, they won't necessarily be identical. I might have been having a really bad brain day, but the day actually itself was okay. Yes, they probably will overlap, but they won't be identical. Next, I have my reading tracker. Yes, I am setting up a reading journal, but I don't not intend to check in with my reading journal every day, so I'd rather have my reading tracker in here. So that this shows whether I didn't read, whether I listened to an audiobook, read an eyeball book, or did both. My third is my period tracker, where I just track any bleeding, whether I'm in pain with period pain, whether we have had intimate time or sexy times. My next 2 are Don't Break the Chain, which is essentially my exercise tracker. I'm going to mark in with a colour every day that I work out until I miss a day. For me, a workout for the purpose of this spread is literally doing one singular YouTube walking dance workout. And by that, I mean one song. So it is very easy to not break the chain. If I break the chain, I then have to put a black dot, and then I continue with a new colour when I pick it back up, hopefully the following day. My penultimate one is also sort of health and fitness slash movement related, and that is my step tracker. So I'm just tracking this in sets of 2,000 steps, so 0 to 2,000, right up to over 10,000 over the 6 colours. And my last year in Pixel is playtime with my daughter, Layla Ray. We obviously play together an awful lot, but this is going to be tracking intentional, fun playtime. And the reason I want to do this is because I am going back to work in February, and I would like to make sure that we are still having plenty of playtime together, even when I am back at work and she is at nursery most of the day. I want to still have that time with her. I don't want to miss out on this time. So through the magic of editing, they are all set up, and we are moving on to my habit scorecard. So I have a habit of tracking the same sort of things month on month, and I want to actually look at whether this habit tracking is helping me improve, because if it's not helping me improve, how can I change it to make sure that I am actually getting better at the things that I want to be doing every single day? For example, if I don't track brushing my teeth, this is going to sound gross, but I probably have ADHD, and this is why. If I don't track brushing my teeth, I don't brush my teeth, because there is nothing that gives me that little hit of dopamine like ticking off a box on my habit tracker. So if I want to brush my teeth, I need to track it. But is that habit tracking actually helping me? Sometimes, yes, I'm sure it is. But I want to have an easy way to go, oh, I'm getting worse at this habit. Why am I getting worse? How can I look at it and try and improve again? And that's the point in this habit scorecard, which is basically to look at the trend of any habits. Now, there are some habits I won't track every month, and they probably won't make it onto here unless I track them at least sort of 3 times. They probably won't make it onto this. And you'll notice I have used the months of the year on this page, and that's basically because, and that is essentially because I printed them off wrong, and I wasn't going to remake the stickers just because I printed them off wrong. So now we are moving on to our next spread/spreads, because this is a Dutch door of 4 spreads for my 2026s in 2026. So this is essentially 20 things that I want to do 26 times in the year of 2026. I quite like the 26s. The 2026s, because 26 times in the year means essentially, on average, you want to be doing these things twice a month. So it's quite a nice, easy thing to think of. And for this, I have completely nicked Jashi Curtin's setup of this page. She has generally done like 25/25s in 2025, but I thought 26/26s was a bit too many, and I couldn't think of 26 things I wanted to do 26 times. So I came up with 20 things I wanted to do 26 times, and I'm not going to lie, one of them I'm not sure I'm going to even vaguely manage, because it's non-fiction books, and I read about 10 this year, so no way near 26. But on the first page, first I am setting up the decoration. So you've seen me cut out the top of each page, and I have actually chosen to remove these. Do I regret that? I'm not sure, because what it has meant is that I've had to put a little bit tape over the deco area on some of my other pages, particularly through those A Year in Pixels, where the binding is not quite as strong because I've taken these pages out. But also the top of my spreads is where I get very bulky, because I tend to put my headers up there. So I did it intentionally to lose some of that bulk, and I'm glad I've done it for that purpose. So the verdict's still out on whether I'm glad I removed the pages. What you can do if you don't want to remove the pages is you just stick them down. So with this, because I cut out 3 pages, I believe. Yeah, I cut out 3 pages. I'd have stuck 1 to one side and 2 to the other. No, I did cut out 3 pages. And that would have kept more of the structural integrity of the planner. It also depends where in the planner you are, because I am at just after the sort of first block of pages. Does that make sense? So this did lose the structural integrity, but if you're in the middle of that block, removing them is only going to remove like the same bit of one of the other pages, so it doesn't matter. So that is just something to think about. Anyway, what I'm doing to set up this page after I've done that decoration is I've set up the left-hand page as essentially a table. And I've just realised I put the numbers 1 to 26 in, and I'm intending to start from the bottom of this graph, not the top, and that says 26 first. So I either need to change out that strip or just count down to 1, which is probably what I'm going to do, because I'm lazy and I don't want to make a new strip. But that is going to be a table where I can basically colour in when I've done each one of them. On the other few pages, so there is 26 spaces on each of the next pages, 20 times to mark each occurrence of those 26 things. So, for example, my first one is eyeball books. That means ebooks or physical books, things I've read with my eyeballs. I'm going to write down the title of 26 books in that space. The next is audiobooks. Then I have non-fiction books. My others are dates, so that is dates with my husband, days out, which can be with my husband and my family, or with Baylor, whatever, just a day out. Then going out, not for the whole day, just going out to do something. Socialising with people that are not my direct family. Calls with my best friend Sophie. Baby classes. Going to Burnby Hall Gardens, which we have annual passes for. Playing games. Crafts. Doing something outside my comfort zone, 30-minute workouts, 10,000 step days, planners sold, new products released in the shop, sticker orders, new subscribers, and £500 saved. Now, some of these are way easier than others and I will achieve very early, and others will be a bit harder and I might not actually achieve. But this is just a way to try and encourage me to increase some of those things, but not push myself too hard. Again, I made mistakes in the second line highlight quite a few times in this, but I'm just leaving it alone. I can't use whiteout or anything because I'm using purple paper. I could use cut-offs to tape over them, but to be honest, I think that would make them more obvious than just the leaving the slightly wrong second line highlighting. On the last space, because those 20 things took up most of the space but did leave me with one little column, I have set up a space to track the percentage I'm complete at the end of each cycle. So at the end of cycle 1, I can put in a percentage complete and all the way through to the end of the year. And that's just a nice way of trying to remind me to keep up with these things as the months go on. Now, these next sets of pages that I am setting up are for tracking the YouTube videos I intend to put out by quarter. I do realise this is quite a unique thing for somebody that makes YouTube videos, but you could use this sort of layout for anything that you do multiple times that has several steps. So I have 4 steps of each of these, and so that is what that little sort of area on the right is for each of the 4 steps. So that is planning, filming, editing and uploading a video. The space on the left with a darker highlighted column is for the date the video is meant to go up, and that space in the middle is for writing what the video is. What I'll probably do is I will write these in pencil until I am pretty certain that is what the video is. And this page here is for 1 quarter, so 13 weeks. So there are 26 slots there. The reason the 3 pages, I want those spaces for each of the quarters. However, what I do not want is essentially to limit myself to having to do 2 videos a week and not having the space to plan out more. So I've only set this up for quarter 1 fully. The other quarters I've just done at the title area. But as I say, this doesn't have to be something you just use for YouTube videos or anything like that. If you have a certain amount of assignments due each quarter, or if you have work projects that have the same sorts of steps, you could use these sorts of spreads for that kind of thing. If you've got any good ideas of what you could set up with these, let me know in the comments down below. I have made this date video and the PFEU stickers for all of these spreads, so I will pop those into the back of my planner to make sure that I don't lose them and I have them. I do have to say, this is my first Archer and Olive, and whilst I am really enjoying it, I am not 100% impressed. I have found the binding to be not great, to be honest. Like the first page, that first spread, you can see a lot of the binding and it's almost sticking out already with just 1 part filled. And then on this YouTube quarter 3, quarter 4 page, they were very stuck together and I gave them a very gentle pull and it felt like they were going to tear apart completely and the binding was going to go. So what I have done later in this video, but you will have seen in the little flip through earlier, is that I've put regular sellotape all the way down and then I've just put some of the washi tape in the middle of these pages to try and keep the binding together. So I don't know whether it's just a problem with this notebook, but we will see going forward. I do have a few Archer and Olives I'm using this year, but if they are all this quality, I'm not particularly impressed. I have to say they are not a cheap notebook, and I would expect them to hold up a little bit better to their first use than they did during the filming of this video. That's not to say that's true of every Archer and Olive, it's just what happened for me. I do have to say this isn't something that I found happened in my travel journal, which is the only other Archer and Olive notebook I've used, so I am hopeful that it is just a one-off and the rest of the journal will be better. Fingers crossed, because I really love this journal and I really want to get good use out of it. Next up, we do have my gifts to buy spread, and this I have instead of a birthday spread. So I tend to write all of my birthday cards in advance and a little bit before the months happen, so I don't really need a list of everybody's birthdays. I just need a list of the ones that I need to buy people presents for. So that I've got that somewhere, and I wanted this split by months so that, like, for example, in December I can look at January's list and go, oh, I need to buy this person gifts, and this is how I'm going to do it. I also thought it would be fun to make this a bit of an interactive element. So what I've done is I have a page that I took out my journal, and along with those Dutch door sections, I cut those into, I believe it is 4 centimeters by 6 centimeter areas, and then I put 1.5 centimeters of the 3 washies that aren't the thin yellow one at the bottom of each of them, followed by a craft paper strip with the month of the year. I'm then going to tape each of these using the yellow washi tape on the front and the back of the little fold up bit to hold them into the journal, so you'll be able to see the month and then that little decorative element of the washi tape, and I love how this looked in the end. I think it's really, really stunning. It did take a lot more time than a simpler spread would have done. The way I found of sticking them in most easily was to use little bits of washi tape to sort of hold it in place, and then put the big strip of washi tape along the top. And this first one I cut both the top and the underneath one at the same time. You'll notice in the second one I do just one at a time, and then I skip through sticking the rest in, because again, you don't need to watch me do that 12 times. You get the idea from this. If you want a more detailed how I did this spread tutorial, let me know and I will happily make one of those, or like an interactive journal ideas, give me a comment and I will try and make one of those. So yeah, we're now going to jump to this spread basically being done. Well, first all of the flaps put in, and then another jump to the spread being finished, because unfortunately I did forget to fully record this. So there's the flaps all in, and I thought I was still recording, but no. So there's the edge done, and that is that spread complete. And we will move on to the next one, which is a space for 2 lists of things that I intend to work on throughout the year, but that also don't need a full page. They just need a little bit of space to fill them in. And the first of those is any craft projects I want to finish. I have a lot of started craft projects, and also a lot of craft kits that I would like to get to. I don't think I'm going to get to them all this year, but I would like somewhere in my journal to make a list of those craft projects I've started that I still want to complete. I need to go through my craft supplies, to be honest, and work out what I want to keep, what I don't. But I just thought having somewhere to write those things down and track them would be good. And on the right hand side, we are going to have home projects. We have quite a few things we've been meaning to do for a little while. And also I had done a massive bathroom renovation recently. So yeah, those other projects have been falling by the wayside. Moving on, we now have another spread inspired by Jashi Corinne. As you can tell, I took quite a lot of inspiration from her. I got my YouTube Wrapped things statistics today, and I am in like the top 0.2% of her viewership. So if that doesn't summarize how I feel about her channel, I don't know what is. Her and Aaron Smith are my most watched YouTube journalers. So yeah. The reason I've added this in is because I found as I'm using my bullet journal more to rapid log, I have had things that I don't want to particularly do in that month or on that week, and also things that I maybe did want to do in that month but that kept getting migrated. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do these things anymore, it's just that now wasn't the right time. And so I wanted a space to put all of those tasks. For example, one of my keyrings has come off, and it is a very cute little duck, and I do not want to get rid of my cute little duck keyring, but I need to sew his keychain back onto him. Have I got to it? Absolutely not. By the way, my daughter is now awake from her nap that she's been taking during the rest of the voiceover of this video, so if you hear her in the background, she is just living her best life playing. And that is pretty much all we have for this spread. So we are going to move on to our next one, which is my 2026 timeline. And the idea of this spread is basically to track any big events that happen month by month. I have actually used traditional months for this spread, and I chose to do that because essentially that's how in the future, when I come back to look at this, is probably how I will want to look at it. So what I've got is I have 6 months on each page, and I have a vertical timeline down the middle with space for up to 10 things to track memories of, essentially. And that's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write in any really great things, any really bad things that happen, anything that is just worth remembering and that is part of my year at a timeline. For example, I'm going to go back to work in February. That's probably going to be one of February's things. And in March, Bayla is going to start nursery. It's just somewhere that I can come back to in several years, and I've just got this little bit of memory keeping, and it's not hard to keep up with because it's just once a month I need to check in with it. I'm now going to go through and add some decoration in that top area where there isn't any space for a month, and also in the bottom area when, again, there isn't, like, November and December have finished, so there's that extra bit of paper at the bottom. There is also some extra in the top right and bottom left corners, and I will also add some decoration in there, but the titles are only going to go into those 2 slots. You could use this sort of spread for anything, though. You could use it for future planning. You could use it as a future log type style. You could use it to track things like your weight or exercise that you want to track by month. Some other ideas of things that you could track with it would be birthdays. You could do a little bit of journaling every month for it. If you're somebody who's interested in moon cycles, you could put the dates for the moon cycles. It could be a when did I last. You could track certain things on this page, and so you can see easily at a glance when you last did those things by month. For example, I don't know, checking your car oil or anything like that, really. And you could maybe even colour code it if you were doing something like that so that you can easily see the instances. You could also use it for something like social media analytics, followers, subscribers, that kind of thing. There is just so much you can do with this sort of spread. And I think that's one of the things to think about when you're watching people's bullet journal setups. Not, do I need this exact spread? Is it, could I use this format, layout, to do something that I need in my journal? I think that's the key question you should be asking, not, do I need this spread in my journal? What could I use this layout for that would be helpful for me if you want to include it? Next up, we have another very inspired by Josh Corinne sort of spread, though again, I don't think she's set one up this year, I can't quite remember. But this is a then and again. And the idea of this is to essentially track several things as a little bit of memory keeping at the beginning. She's traditionally done it at the beginning at the end of the year, but I am going to be doing this at the beginning/end of each quarter. So I have 5 dates that I'm going to fill this in. So the 29th of December 2025, 30th of March, 29th of June, 28th of September, and 28th of December 2026. So there are slots for 5 different answers to each of these questions, and I'll get to see how these things change month on month. And this is just for interest. It's not necessarily that I want to, some of these are what the things I want to change. Others are just, it's instead of sort of currently. I did currently for quite a lot of last year, but I didn't enjoy including it every month. So this is sort of an alternative way of doing that. So the categories that I am going to be writing down something for is my last 5-star read, my current TV series, if we are watching one. At the moment we are not, but I kind of figure that's going to change at some point, so that's there. A board game we are enjoying, a video game we're enjoying, the latest craft I have finished, my most used app on my phone, Bayla's current favourite, a milestone Bayla has recently hit. Bayla is my daughter, if you do not know. Something cute that Bayla is doing, my average steps a day, my favourite food at that moment in time, my work placement, so where I'm working, something I am excited for, my savings total, the thing that is stressing me out the most, and my current weight. Weight is down there at the bottom because it's not something I necessarily care about, but I just would like to see how it changes over the time. And I forgot to print out and sticker for this, so I've just added a little plus symbol in between. It's not my favourite thing in the world, but it works. Now we are on to our final two spreads of this setup, or our final spread of this setup, our final 2 pages of this setup. And this one on the left is a space for reflection questions. Something I want to be bringing into my bullet journal, my life a bit more, is reflecting on things that have happened or things that I want, particularly my goals. And because this is something I have to do for work in a certain format, I find it quite hard to think about it in terms of a more fun format. So this is a space to write down some questions to sort of try and trigger some thoughts and get some stuff down on paper to reflect on my goals, my life, everything from a non-work point of view. Because work reflections, like medical work, I'm a doctor if you don't know, they are very different from my goal reflections in some ways. So yeah, it's just trying to think of these things in a different light. And that page on the right, which is my last page of this setup, is my new journal ideas. Does it seem bizarre to be putting in a new journal ideas page at the beginning of my 2026 journal? So this could both be for my 2027 journal or my next everyday journal. And I'm just popping in those titles, and that is it for this spread. And really, I say we're done, but we actually do have 2 more little things to set up. The first of those is my nameplate page. Now we filled everything in, it seems like time to go back and do this. So I have printed out my full name, which is Talitha Trinkadas. I say full name, my first and surname, Talitha Trinkadas. And I also have a little bit to say, if found, please contact me on Instagram or Facebook at Tilly Journals, basically because I do take my planner out and about, and if I lost it, I would be devastated. So hopefully somebody would return it if they found it. And this is actually the only page in this spread I do use some stickers in. I don't film putting the stickers down. Basically, I filmed a clip of me putting the stickers in, and then I realised I didn't want the stickers there, so I took most of them off. So I just cut that bit of the video out. She didn't need to see it. But now I am setting up the very last thing of this setup, which is a little cheat sheet of the colours I am using in my Year in Pixels with their Tombow colour code. And so I have written those on one side of another little bit of that same 4x6cm cutout. And then I'm just going to decorate the back of it with a little mini washi dashboard. I do this the same way Beth from Beth Plans does, except I don't use a alternate bit of sticker paper, especially not if I'm doing it on a little piece of paper like this. So I've just put them down diagonally, and then I'm just going to go around and cut them off. Beth Plans is the queen of these if you would like to go and watch her channel. And the idea of doing this actually came from the Southwest Planner Club little workshop, using that to decorate the back of this. And then I am going to actually use real tape to tape it in, because I didn't feel like the washi tape was going to hold it well enough. So what I did was I first used a bit of sellotape, which I cut a little bit thinner so that the washi tape would completely cover it, and used that to actually hold it in. And then I used the washi tape just to make it look pretty. And that is the very last thing. So we will now do a full flip through of all of these pages that we have set up. And I am obsessed with how this has come together. I think it is a really pretty setup. It's very me. Purple and yellow are 2 of my favourite colours, along with sort of a turquoisey teal. And so this just screams me. I absolutely love bees. And I'm really excited for the pages I've set up. I think they are really well. I've thought about it a lot, and I've really thought out about the layouts and things. This did take me an awfully long time to set up, but I obviously made it into a nice short video for you. But I hope you have found it helpful, and there is lots you have got from this video. Leave a comment down below if you are taking any of these spreads into your next journal, or if you've got this far in the video, just leave me a little bee emoji. I will be sharing all of my monthly setups on my channel, as well as my reading journal setup, which is coming next week, I hope. And yeah, so please don't forget to subscribe, like, all that kind of jazz. YouTube will now be recommending my previous bullet journal setups and a video I think you will enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!